You, everyone. Shall we begin? Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Gururadirnadischa Guru Paramadaivatam Guru Parataram Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Na Gururadikam Tattvam Na Gururadikam Tapah Tattvanyana Param Nasti Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Hari Om. Hari Om, everyone. We have now reached mantra number 16. We missed the Shanti part, didn't we? Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Mantra number 16, which is from the Mundaka Upanishad. So you've had a student has approached the guru, a mumukshu. The teacher has given him self-knowledge. The teacher blesses the student. The student then expresses his gratitude, and then Guruji gives us the secret ingredient, which rather than acquisition of knowledge leads to revelation of knowledge, and that was bhakti. Same, but para-bhakti we have for the Lord. If we have that for the Guru, then this knowledge reveals itself. Just like sunlight will reveal the entire landscape, and acquisition of knowledge will be a torchlight leading us on the path step by step. So now, what's left? There are three things left here, at least. The glory of this knowledge is to be discussed in this shloka, in the Mundaka Upanishad. After this is what is the glory of the teacher, because the glory of this knowledge is only evident in the glory of the man of realization. It's only manifestly available to us in that. And then the third would be, what is, when we say one needs to abide in this knowledge, what does that mean? What does nishtha mean? So these are the three topics we will take, but today we will only do what is the greatness of Brahma Vidya. And for that we go to Mundaka Upanishad, mantra 228, which is mantra number 16. Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyante sarva samshayah shiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. There are a lot of packed with information here. Tasmin drishte. What does that mean? Tasmin drishte means when that is seen, when what is seen. Paravare. Paravare is para and avara put together becomes paravare. Para and avara. Para is the supreme Paramatma, Satchidananda, is known as para. When that is seen, recognized, realized as Sakshat Aham Asmi, then what is avara? Avara is also known as apara. Apara or avara is, till now I thought that this supreme which manifested as all these forms, which means me, this jiva, is what I thought I was. This Satchidananda, which is the combination of the Satchidananda Atma and this body, is who I thought I was. When the jiva realizes that Sakshat Aham Asmi and not Deha Aham Asmi, when that happens, that's Tasmin Drishti. So he's seeing, I think the book says above and below, higher and lower. So he was at the lower form, now he saw the higher form. Therefore, he's seen both. He's seen the lower and the higher. And this is known as Tasmin Drishte Paravare. He realizes that I am not a jiva, I am now the higher, Satchidananda. Now remember, we said it is the same truth which appears in all forms. Eko Vashi Sarva Bhutantaratma. We did that. Ekam Rupam Bahudaya Karoti. Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kama. That one gives us all our desires. That one appears in all forms. So till now I thought I was avara, I was this jiva, but now I have seen, I've realized para, and therefore tasmin drishte paravare. On this realization, what happens? Three things happens. We'll just take the literal definition. Vidyate hridaya granthi. If you all don't mind and turn on your video, it'd be nice to see your wonderful faces and we can communicate. Vidyate hridaya granthi. So I'll just give you the literal definition. Vidyate, to untie, to break up, to remove, to cut asunder, to snap. Vidyate. Hridaya granthi, knots of the heart. Chidyante sarva samshayaha. Chidyante, to dispel, to remove. Sarva, all. Samshayaha, doubts. And the third thing that happens is shiyante cha asya karmani. Shiyante asya karmani. Upon tasmin drishte, upon realizing that higher self, what happens? Shiyante means to exhaust. Those who did Atmabudh, tapobi sheena papanam. Sheena. Shiyante, to exhaust. To exhaust, to thin out until you exhaust. When the fire burns down all the fuel, shiyante, it's all burnt out. It's exhausted is the word. What is exhausted? Karmas. What does all this mean? Let's take the first one. Hridaya Granthi. So we're talking about the greatness of this knowledge. Once you gain this knowledge, what happens? Three things. Hridaya Granthi is removed. Sarva Samshaya, doubts are dispelled. All karmas are exhausted. Let's take them one by one. Hridaya Granthi is a term used, you must have seen it in many, many Upanishads. This is from the Mundaka Upanishad. Hridaya Granthi is also sometimes known as Avidya Granthi. That is a very powerful word. Granthi means knot. So you're creating a knot. Knots of the heart. This exactly tells you who we are. We all are knotted hearts. That's all we are. What differentiates each of us is the quality of the knot, the quantity of the knot, and how tightly wound that knot is. Any knot. It can be from silk ropes, it can be from jute pieces, it can be from a simple thread, and the knot can be loose like a ribbon, or it can be tightly wound, as you can imagine. So each of us, if we just picture ourselves as a tightly wound knot, and life after life, what do? We bind ourselves with even stronger and stronger ropes and tighten this knot. So when someone asks you next time who you are, say, I'm a tightly wound knot and I'm trying to untie the knot of my heart. That's the purpose of my life. Because when you untie the knot, how would you feel? There's nothing else you can say. Hridaya Granthi. So what are these three knots of the heart, which is quite famous in the Upanishads? Avidya Granthi or Hridaya Granthi, there are three strands, strings, three ropes, I guess strands is a good word for three ropes, the three ropes of the heart. So Hrid plus Atma, this Hridaya comes from Hrid plus Ayam. Ayam, this body, is me. Aham Deha, Deha Buddhi, I am this body, is not number one. This is also known as Avidya. Now, I am Chaitanya Atma, I am Brahman, I am all complete, all happy, but I mistake myself to be this body. So because of Avidya, I now mistake myself to be this body. So that's the first one, Avidya. If I now think I'm the body, what am I going to do rationally? I'm going to take care of my body. I'm going to protect my body. I'm going to beautify my body. I'm going to satiate every demand, physical, mental, intellectual, that this body has. It is natural. Therefore, desire to take care of this body, to satiate this body's needs and demands, becomes the purpose of my life. And that is known as kama, desire to take care of the body. So avidya, ignorance of who I am. So I think I'm the body. Ignorance born desire to take care of the body is known as kama, second knot. Now, if I have kama, desire to take care of the body, I have to do karma. Ignorance born action as a result, which is a direct consequence of ignorance born desire, which is a consequence of ignorance of who I am, is known as the third knot, which is ignorance born desire. Ignorance born action, karma. So avidya leads to kama, leads to karma. Now, when I do karma, I get karma phalas. If I'm doing something out of an egocentric idea that I am the body, then by definition, whatever karma phalas I get become egocentric. The actions I perform are egocentric actions to satisfy egocentric desires. The avidya, kama, the kama is born out of vasanas. Each one's vasanas are different, therefore each one's desires are different, therefore each one's actions are different. And therefore, as we do the karma, we get the karma phala, and we develop likes and dislikes, more likes and dislikes. More likes and dislikes we get, more vasanas are created, more desires are created, more actions are performed, more karma phalas are there, and you go in a vicious loop of winding yourself tighter and tighter and tighter in avidya, kama, karma. These three strands become stronger and stronger and stronger. The deha buddhi gets stronger, avidya. The desires get stronger, kama. The karmas become stronger. The karma phalas become more intense. The likes and dislikes become more intense. And the vasanas therefore become more and more encrusted. And you go round and right. Avidya, vasana, kama, karma. This avidya grantha becomes stronger and stronger, life after life. These three strands, known as avidya, kama, karma, are tied together to form what is known as knots of the heart. Now, when it says vidyate hridaya granthi, vidyate, this knot of the heart is untied, I guess, untied, removed, cut. We can use all these words. Now, if we take it the other way, the same argument, the other way, well, we've gone from the top to bottom. Let's go from bottom to top. We're all performing karmas. Why do you perform karmas? Well, because you're performing karmas. And if I perform karmas, let's start where we are. We perform karmas. We don't analyze why we do it. We're performing karmas. We therefore get a result. That creates an impression. That becomes your vasana. We've already come with 1,000,000 vasanas from previous lives. We then add to that vasana. And why are we performing karmas? Well, because I have some desires. And why do I have desires? Because they come from my vasanas. So why do I have vasanas? The root cause of the question. Well, vasanas I have because I have avidya. We're going in the reverse direction. Avidya of what? Avidya of my own true nature. I don't know who I am. So I think I am this jiva. I think I am this body. And I am not happy. Even though I'm happiness, I am not happy. If I'm not happy, I need to be complete. To be complete, from sense of incompleteness, I have a desire to gain, acquire, possess something. And from that desire, I perform an action to gain, acquire, or possess that thing. And you have this vicious circle. Either you look top to bottom or bottom to top. The root cause is avidya. From avidya comes kama. From kama comes karma. From karma comes more vasanas, which means more avidya. And round the garden, like a teddy bear. And that hridaya granthi becomes tight. A lot of my analogies will now be rooted in nursery rhymes, because that's what I do now during the day. So, hridaya granthi, avidya, kama, karma. I remember it as AKK. Avidya, kama, karma. Then you say, okay, the greatness of this knowledge is tasmin drishte paravare. When I realize that, the knot of the heart is broken. Wow. Avidya is gone. Therefore, kama is gone. Therefore, karma is gone. So a man of wisdom needs to be inactive. But my guru is always working. Therefore, he has kama. Therefore, he has avidya. The difference is, you and I, karmas arise for gaining happiness. Karmas arise from a sense of incompleteness. Tasmin drishte paravare, when that truth is realized, karma arises from happiness, from fulfillment, from fulfillment. Oh, great English. From fulfillment. So what's the greatness or glory of this knowledge? It frees you. It frees you from the shackles of avidya, vasana, kama, karma. And thereafter, all actions you perform are Narayana himself functioning through you, because you're doing nothing for your own personal gain, no egocentric desires whatsoever. I'm going to pause there before we take the next subject, which is Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha.
We use words like cut and, the knots, etc. But I think before we even get there, the purity of mind is slowly there. So I think it's like unfolding rather than cutting. And also, when you're all tight as you don't have any freedom. So when these things slowly unfold, then there's freedom to actually love, because you're no longer sense of, oh, I'm this and he's this and she did this to me, and all of that is kind of slowly disappears, and there you are, just free to feel love, compassion for everyone, regardless of what you used to think they were, where you had your notions that, I am this and he's that, she's that. So I think that unfolding just gives you that freedom to actually really truly love. And I think that's what happens with Guruji. He's just like a personification of love, because we're a long way.
That's a good point. What we are trying to do is sheen, which is thin, to thin out our knots. Replace the jute knots with cotton knots, and then silk knots, and then threads, and from a very tightly wound knot, reduce it to a smaller knot, less tight knot, till it becomes like a ribbon, which you get on your birthday. We're trying to untie the knots. That's what spiritual unfoldment is about, to untie the knots. And that's the step-by-step approach, which is important, because Sheena Papana means to reduce, to thin our vasanas, to thin our papas. That is untying the knots. This is saying Tasmin Drishte, on seeing that truth, that process stops. The revelation happens. All the knots of the heart, boom, gone. Because no matter how much you try, these knots will always be there. They will always, in some form or the other, they may not be jute knots, but they will be silk knots. They may not be very tight, they will be, but it's still a knot, and a knot is a knot. It's a journey, and we are on that journey. But on realization of that truth, that's the only time all knots get cut asunder. It's broken. Any other thoughts? Chidyante sarva samshaya. The second thing that happens on Tasmin Drishte, Chidyante sarva samshaya. Chidyante, removed, dispelled, gone away, cut asunder, you could say again. Sarva samshaya. Samshaya, doubts. Doubts. Let's say, what is the word? Samshaya atma vinashyati. One who keeps doubting perishes. Now, what are these doubts? You can say doubts, you can say questions. What are these questions which we have, these doubts which we have? They fall into three categories. One, who am I? What do I want? If you can overhear any Q&A between any human being and a Swami, it will be about who am I? not in the absolute sense. That would be fantastic if it was, but it would be, what should I do? Which school should I go to? What job shall I take? What business shall I do? Should I get married? Should I have children? How do I take care of my children? Should I get divorced? Who am I? What is the goal of my life? It's all transactional questions are the most of what we ask our guru. Number one. So our doubts or questions. Who am I? My empirical identity. Second question we will have, and that will be lesser in category, if you can get over here any of those questions, is what is this world? Who created this world? What is the purpose of this world? What is about Jagat? So the first was about Jiva, the second was about Jagat. And little more interesting students will come and ask the third kind of question, who is God? What is God? Where is God? I think there's no God. Man created God. And it goes on and on and on. So all doubts that we have, samshaya, falls into three categories: Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. And the purpose of Vedanta is to answer these three questions and the interrelationship between Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. Now, I think the commentary says you cannot tell somebody, don't ask questions about this when you realize you understand it. That's not an answer. The purpose of Vedanta is to teach people not what to think, but how to think. And when one learns how to think, the answers manifest from within through deep reflection. And there is no other way. No guru can give you a satisfactory answer to who's Jiva, who's Jagat, and who's Ishvara. They can only point us in the right line of thinking through this pramana vichar of Vedanta. And in this line of thinking, each one must reflect for themselves. It said doubts, samshaya, are like the river Ganga. They will keep flowing. They will never go away. It will keep coming. They may be less and less. They may be less trivial, more profound, but doubts will always be there. And all doubts only end tasmin drishyate. Upon realizing the truth, all doubts disappear. There are countless doubts which will keep coming. Why? The example given was that in a dream, the questions we get may be as ridiculous as we can imagine. Why is the horse not a goat? Why is the lion not barking like a dog? These are questions you may ask in a dream. On waking up, all those dreams are gone, and the ridiculous questions I posed are because the questions we pose in the waking state are as ridiculous as that. So sarva samshaya, chidyante sarva samshaya, all doubts end when this truth is realized. Okay. And we will see why in the third shloka, why nishta, abidance in this knowledge is so important. Because it's when abidance in this knowledge happens, all doubts end. These questions will not arise anymore. So how to think is the most important thing we have to learn from Vedanta. The third glory of this knowledge, the third thing that happens, shiyante cha asya karmani. This is an important one. Shiyante, exhaust. Karmani, all karmas are exhausted. What does that even mean? If we take karmas, it's a big topic. They are, I think the book talks about it. There's actually three kinds of karmas. There's Sanchit karma, Prarabdha karma, Agami karma, and there's a flow. The total bank of karmas, by karmas I mean karma phalas, vasanas, the karmas which we come with, is known as Sanchit karmas. Through whatever Sanchit karmas fructify today becomes my Prarabdha karma. Through my self-effort, Purushartha, given my Prarabdha, whoever Gurudev says what you meet in life is destiny, how you meet what you meet is your free will, what I meet is my Prarabdha, how I meet is my Purushartha. So through my Purushartha, when I meet my Prarabdha, I create another karma known as Agami. This Agami is the karmas that will come to me in the future as a result of my actions in the present. This future Agami then goes back into Sanchita, into my big fixed deposit account known as Sanchita Karmas. So it's a flow. Sanchit becomes Prarabdha, with my Purushartha becomes Agami, Agami goes back into Sanchit. And this whole big fixed deposit gets bigger and bigger and denser. Now imagine millions of lives we've lived, the kinds of karmas we've accumulated. Shiyante chasya karmani means that all these karmas in one fell swoop, again we said revelation of knowledge, yasya deve parabhakti, revelation of knowledge. So one way is we try to exhaust our karmas, which is what we all are trying to do through seva, bhakti, shraddha, jnana, vairagya. And therefore, at best, we can reduce the karmas. But on realizing the truth, shiyante asya karmani, to that person, all karmas are gone in one fell swoop, past, present, agami, all gone. Bhagavad Gita says, Jnanina sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute. All to the jnani, all karmas are burnt to ashes. Shankara says, Nirvichi kurvanti. They become unable to sprout any more seeds. The analogy is to a man of wisdom. The prarabdha karmas always continue. It's like a bullet which has been fired. It continues to its destination. The prarabdha karma continues. It's like a fan which you've turned off the electricity, but the momentum keeps on going until it comes to a stop. But to the jnani, that no karma binds him anymore, because no action taken is driven from avidya kama, which is from avidya. There is no egocentric action, therefore it is not possible for any karmas to bind him anymore. I think the book is an example. When someone dies, all the cases against him, it may be from theft to murder, are meaningless. They come to an end. I think it also says when the person dies, all three wives become a widow at the same time. It's not one by one. So all karmas are burnt in one fell swoop. The Guru Stotram, Aneka Janma Samprapta, Karma Bandha Vidahine. How? Atma Jnana Pradhanena. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. I prostrate to that Guru, who by imparting self-knowledge to me burns down all my karmas of Aneka Janma, of countless births. Same idea. So on this revelation, which happens as a result of through the secret ingredient in one fell swoop, which is supreme devotion to God, same supreme devotion to the Guru, when Prakashante Mahatmana, when all the Katita Hirta, when all the words of the Vedanta we've listened to manifest, illumine themselves in that Mahatma, Tasmin Drishte, and he sees that para from the apara. What happens? Avidya is gone, Kama is gone, Karma is gone. The three knots of the heart are broken. When that's gone, all doubts are dispelled. And most importantly, all karmas are burned down in one fell swoop. This is mind-blowing greatness of this self-knowledge. Mind-blowing result of this self-knowledge. This is from the Mundaka Upanishad. We've done this before, those who remember. Vidyate hridaya granthi chidyanti sarva samshayaha shiyante chasya karmani tasmin drishte paravare. The next mantra, which we'll take next week, is the glory of the man of realization who has got this knowledge. And I was just looking at this, my favorite book, Evergreen Messages, 2 days ago. Actually, 4 days ago, on the 15th of April. The greatness in an ideology is not, in fact, in the ideology. It is in the subject who lives that ideology. So the greatness of the knowledge has been explained because of what it can result in, but we can only see the greatness of that knowledge in the person who's realized that knowledge, which hopefully at someday will be you or I. But now we have to refer to people we know. I'll pause there. Any questions? Samshaya, doubts?
I have a question. When we mentioned about the Guru with the Atma Jnana, when we are gaining this knowledge, we are learning. But the prarabdha karma still keeps popping up. Like, so is it when we have to recognize and then just dispel of it, or and sometimes it just happens that we keep on doing. We just keep on acting upon that karma that we have from the past, even though we're gaining the knowledge.
You don't know what is going to sprout, when it's going to sprout, or how it's going to sprout. And I think Guruji's example is, you know, that box you have with children use and they hit with a hammer and then something else pops up. Then you hit the other head and another thing pops up. I don't know if you've seen that game. And that's how prarabdha is. You hit one thing, something else will come. You hit another, something else, and they're random. Look at our own life. What we meet, who we meet, when we meet, what situation we meet. No idea today. It's a blank sheet of paper. I have no clue what's going to happen during the course of the day. Whatever I experience, whatever I meet is my prarabdha. How I meet that? Do I punch the guy? Do I hug the guy? Do I walk around the guy? If it's a person, a situation, how do I deal with it? Sometimes I do it beautifully. Sometimes I come home really saying that was pathetic way to behave. How I meet is my Purushartha. And how I meet what I meet would lead me to a future consequence of Agami karmas, which will come home to roost again, either through people, conducive, unconducive situations, joy, sorrow, or more vasanas. The three expressions, only three expressions: joy or sorrow, conducive or unconducive situations, and either a decrease or an increase in vasanas. Three things can happen. So by Purushartha, based on the prarabdha, which I have no control over, will give me these three possibilities. Ideally, joy. Ideally, conducive situations. And ideally, a thinning of my vasanas. That's spiritual living.
Shankar.
Yes.
I was thinking about with samshaya, the doubts, and I was thinking about the verse we covered last week, on bhakti. So I guess this is where it's important to have that shraddha and bhakti to help us remove that doubt, because otherwise you can be studying this knowledge, but without that shraddha and bhakti, that doubt will always remain.
Perfect. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. Without shraddha, without faith, you cannot walk this path. And because we have infinite amount of doubts, and they keep coming. Sometimes you sit back and think, and I do that sometimes. So there's a God, really? And he created all this? There's one guy sitting somewhere? How? And who created him? If you go through this, you will reach a point where you're stunned and you go, I've been studying all this, but really? And it happens to Swamiji told me, even an advanced Swami at some point will come and ask a question: does God really exist? So Shraddha is the only pillar we can hold on to in our journey. I have total faith in the scriptures, in my Guru, in Ishvara, in myself, in the sadhana prescribed by my Guru to me, and that's it. I'm going to hold on to that. And that will teach me how to think. And when that Shraddha becomes, that Bhakti becomes complete, then Tasmin Drishte Paravare. Prakashante Mahatmana. But if we just use our intellect, it will, at some point, it will break down. Because the answers cannot be gained by the intellect. That's why Shankara, what does he say? I forget. I'm beginning to forget a lot of things. Shankara, what did he say about that? Do not try to study, understand this with your own intellect. It is not possible. It is not possible. Shastranyopi swatantrena brahmajnana veshanam na kuryat. Shastranyopi swatantrena, independently, Shastra, brahmajnana veshanam na kuryat. Don't even think you can understand this with your own intellect. Came back slowly, slowly. That's why you need a guru. Because on this path, again, the guru understands there will be highs and lows. There will be lots of samshaya. And as you meet your prarabdha, there are so many challenges, especially those in Grihastha ashram. Don't underestimate it. There are so many challenges which will keep pushing you off. Stay the course. . So people say, how long should I do study classes? Tasmin drishti. Has tasmin drishti happened? No. Then you continue. Till your deathbed, continue. I had lunch with a couple of friends yesterday, went for a walk, and they were all debating, well, blah, 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 blah. I was just listening, and they said, look, we know all this stuff. We've done this for, 15 years. We know this stuff. Now it's a matter of practicing it. And I just listened. After a while, I said, okay, I promised not to get involved, but I said, listen, I let that fly once. We know nothing. We have information. We know nothing. If we knew, the journey would have ended. So, I mean, like that, in Self-Fulfillment 101, I am Atman, I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. I know, I'm God. Information is one thing. Knowledge and wisdom are two different things. Krishna, enlighten us with some of your wisdom.
I have none except that I had exactly the same thought as Ekta. So the beauty of it is that in the light of the knowledge that we've already received, I think there's a reason why these mantras have been chosen in this order. So I think that the bhakti part coming just before this is really beautiful and significant.
Please memorize these verses. I cannot emphasize this enough. And this actually, I must give credit to Neha, who throwby comment says, I chant this every morning. I've memorized it because I'll never get a chance to study all the Upanishads, so I've just memorized these. I'm like, wow. And I'm doing so now. Again, shower yoga, most important. In the shower, it takes 10 minutes. Now it takes 7 minutes. Memorize each. And as you memorize each word, meaning comes again and again and again and again. And it becomes part of you. So on my deathbed, if I'm chanting Upanishad Vidyasar, I've done okay.
Can I ask a very basic question?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, really, it was me, Romy. Just kind of literally going back to the beginning of whenever we start studying. So at one point, I'm assuming that we were all, we are Brahman, but we were kind of not the individual as we are right now. Is that right? Or as we are aware of ourselves as Jiva. So what would have triggered? Are there different reasons for triggering us to become Jivas as individuals? Is it because we want to experience separateness from the total, or what would be the reason for triggering this separation, if you know what I mean?
That's a brilliant question. And the time immemorial, this question comes up, and various different arguments are given. Honestly, none to my satisfaction yet. Aitareya Upanishad gives you the whole theory, but they tell you there was the truth, and then as though he saw something separate apart from him, and then as though he became attached to that, and as he became attached, he developed. So it all became as though, and that's how creation began. These are attempts to satisfy our intellect at best. There's a small booklet by Guruji also called Why Did God Create the World? Worth reading as well. But that's the best I've heard, which is Brahman was there all by himself, and as though he saw two entities, and then became attached to it. And next thing you know, that same entity split up into many, many different entities, all that so-called avidya, kama, karma began, and the whole process of creation began. Now, this whole process of creation is anadi, beginningless. Creation will continue forever, but for each individual jiva, it is not endless. It comes to an end upon realization.
So it's not possible to then separate again once we've united or become aware, self-realized, or can we choose? Well, actually, no, I'd quite like to be individual again.
The question is, when I wake up, can I go back into my dream? Man, many times I do try. You go to the bathroom and come back and go, well, how's it going? I want to go back in. And then I can't remember the damn dream. I just went to the bathroom and came back. And I can't go back. And then I'm upset and I can't sleep anymore. So once you're awakened, you're awakened. There's no question of going back into the dream. And again, I just keep saying, go see that virtual reality thing on Shepherd's Bush. What was it called? Machu Picchu. I want to go back because this time, when I go to the mountain, I want to walk over the mountain and say, now with full knowledge and awareness that I'm in a virtual reality show, am I able to walk there? I felt almost as ridiculous then as I can imagine a man of wisdom will feel when he removes that mask and sees what he sees. There was a beautiful English summary put out by BB yesterday. Trishna, did you see that? It's actually beautiful. I don't normally forwards, but I'll put that on the group today. This English lady just explaining this whole phenomenon that we're in. Very beautiful English. But yeah, Romy, I cannot say I have a definitive answer to your question because that is the final samshaya which goes, and I hate to refer to it, you will know it when you realize, but unfortunately you will know it when you realize.
Going back to Trishna's comment, yeah, just thinking about this text that Guruji has done for us. And he takes us to high, which is like the Om, the significance of it, etc. Then he brings us down to bhakti and devotion. And then he brings us down to what we're really in this world, the karma, and it's literally like he's saying wake up call, because I feel in myself that as of tomorrow I need to be aware of what comes to me, because I have no idea. How will I deal with it? How will I look at it? Forget what I'm going to get out of it, but it really is like it's amazing, but it's really like a wake-up call. He's given us again, from taking us from that beauty of Om to now, okay, where is your devotion? And then can you hold on to that devotion, deal with the day-to-day things that come, and then also, how are you going to do it? So it's literally like, okay, be vigilant, and then learn from what you've studied. I just can't believe it's like he knows all of us so well, and he's really trying to help us with this journey. So it's a brilliant text. Very grateful. Thank you.
Any other thoughts?
I just wanted to share actually. So in our another class, it's we're doing self-unfoldment in the Bal Vihar parents class. So it's interesting going back to 101, as you say. We made a commitment. I think we're on day 28 now, but we'd made a commitment that we would do written introspection for 30 days. And this was kind of a culmination of what was discussed at Women's Camp with Sri Priyaji and also Make It Happen. And for the first time, have actually done written introspection, consistently. And this idea of, so obviously it's the idea that you actually then see how have you responded during the day to certain things. And you said it's a blank sheet. You don't know what's going to come, even if you've got a plan for the day. And you start to see those patterns. And obviously what Gurudev is saying in self-fulfillment is then you detect it, you negate it, you substitute it. But it's been fascinating, I have to say, to put it on paper. You see those patterns. And then sometimes you have a sense of, oh, actually, now I'm able to catch that. So I'm not going to respond like that now when that situation comes. But then the next thing comes, and the next thing comes, and then you feel disappointed in yourself if, you're not able to, you haven't responded in the way that you would have wanted to in another situation. But actually having that as a consistent sadhana has been really, really insightful actually. And I know it's like right at the beginning, this is what is prescribed, but actually having done it consistently now, even just over this very short period, the insights really chime with what we're just discussing here, even around that sort of the karma's point. Yeah.
Well, that's excellent. Introspection is the key. And as you begin to introspect, then you're aware of your deficiencies. And it becomes instantaneous. After you've done it within seconds, you'll know, I've screwed up. Without introspection, you'll go weeks until somebody reminds you what you did was wrong. With introspection, your sensitivity to your own inadequacies becomes magnified, and that's spiritual growth. And it happens all the time. I mean, 2 days ago, I was at the ashram and I yelled at somebody. I do that all the time, but it's usually balanced and I have no issues. This time, my heart rate went up and I became emotional. And I came home and I said, what the hell happened here? There was some emotional connection, which I won't get into, but there was an immediate, I screwed up. Get angry to get a job done, to be objective. But once your heart rate starts to go up, and we all do that, you will know it. You know emotionally you are not objective. When the emotional component is thrown in, it's not right. And that awareness is important because it's our own growth. I have to be more aware. In fact, I told the family, next time I advise you, don't get emotional in argument, remind me of this episode I just had. So introspection is really, really important.
I think introspection is also that missing link from, I just keep remembering how Guruji says, don't forget that this is not bookish knowledge, this is you. So the subject of what you're studying is you, and it's not something else. It's not other than you. And I think when we're studying it, it doesn't always come back, and the introspection brings it back. He also quotes, I think it's Aristotle, who says an unexamined life is not worth living, which is exactly what introspection is as well. And I think that's where the gaps come in, where you realize, oh, hang on a second, my understanding about that still needs a little bit of work.
Any other points, questions? So next week, we will move into the second aspect, which is so we've seen the glory of this knowledge, now with the glory of the man of wisdom. Bhagavad Gita calls us Stita Prajna Lakshana, characteristics of a Jivan Mukta, man liberated while living, or woman liberated while living, or child liberated while living. There is no constraint on who can realize this truth. We'll move to the Bhagavad Gita, the Gita Panchamrit. Ideally, 5 new people will chant today. Dheeraj, I'm watching you. He logged out the minute I took his name. Who would like to chant? Verse 1. Smita, okay. Verse 2. Anyone? Verse 2, yes, Bhardiji. Verse 2. Okay, verse 3. Smita again. Another Smita. Verse 4. Verse 4. Ninaven. Verse 5. Meenaj. Okay, let's go.
उद्धरेदात्मनात्मानं नात्मानमवसादयेत् आत्मैव यात्मनो बन्धुः आत्मैव रिपुरात्मनः
कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मफलहेतुर्भुः मा ते सङ्गोऽस्त्वकर्मणि
यत् करोसि यदस्नासि यत् जहोषि ददासि यत् तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत् कुरुष्व मदर्पणम्.
verse 4.
Nina, Auntie, you're on mute, I think.
अनन्ये चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जना पर्युपासते तेषां नित्यभुयुक्तानां योगे शेषं वहाम्यहम्.
सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnaat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all very much. I'll
Hari
see
Om.
you next week.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hariom.
Hari Om.